Surprise, surprise, Blizzard are doing something kinda scummy again. This time when it comes to housing, they are introducing a new virtual currency called Hearthsteel that will be used to purchase housing items from the store. You get Hearthsteel with real money or with the WoW token, so basically real money just with an extra step and an extra person involved. In today's video, I want to go over what Hearthsteel is, why Blizzard is bringing it into the game, and why many people are rightfully skeptical about it. Hello everybody, it's your boy Jmulls, and it's time to steal your Hoth. Sick Persona 5 pun me, thanks me.
I am not amused.
Well, Hearthsteel is not a new concept. Plenty of online games have a virtual currency, and this is just another one of them. You buy Hearthsteel and then spend Hearthsteel on housing items available in the online store. If you've ever played a gacha game or a lot of other online games, you'll be very familiar with this concept. Robux, V-Bucks, Primogems, etc, etc. It's not a new thing. But Blizzard are introducing it into World of Warcraft only for housing items by their own admission. Hearthsteel won't be used for other things on the store like mounts, pets, transmog, etc., just housing. Now, why are Blizzard bringing it into the game? Well, they are claiming it's for efficiency. To quote, "It's important to note that when dealing in transactions involving real money, a more deliberate and cautious process needs to be implemented to provide appropriate financial protections for both parties. This can be an inefficient, inconvenient, and often tedious process when a player wants to purchase multiple items." The example they gave is, what if someone wants to purchase a bunch of chairs? Well, the store items for housing are going to be often low cost, their words, and that players will want to purchase multiple items for whatever they are looking to get. So instead of going through all the steps and elements associated with a transaction involving real money, if the player simply only had to buy Hearthsteel and then could buy whatever the heck they wanted after that, it should streamline the process, making it more efficient. Let's just recognize that this basically is them stating that their goal is to incentivize people to buy multiple store items at once, and that this currency is meant to make the process of spending more on the store efficient, thereby incentivizing larger store purchases through the use of a middleman currency. Let's recognize that they basically just said that and put it to the side for a moment and talk about Blizzard's response to common community concerns with virtual currencies, because they knew the backlash was going to come.
I am not amused.
Now, Blizzard in the same post talked about their guiding principles, basically them trying to address obvious things they know people are going to say in response to them implementing a virtual currency. Now, generally when companies implement a virtual currency, they either set the denominations at just under what you need to buy for the actual item that you want, or they give you just a little bit more, so you feel incentivized to get even more to spend that remainder so it doesn't go to waste. Yeah, like, it's on the person to not spend it because individual responsibility and all that, right? Absolutely. But at the same time, it's a scummy tactic from virtual currencies meant to psychologically manipulate the player, and when something exists for the primary reason of psychologically manipulating the player to act against their best short-term and or long-term interests, I don't see the value in tolerating its existence, and I believe that that thing should be eradicated from the business. Now, Blizzard actually talk about this and say the denominations that Hearthsteel will be available for will be offered in amounts in a player-friendly way, their words. They clarify with, buying Hearthsteel at the amount you want lets you purchase the items you want without requiring you to think about which packs should be added together to minimize leftovers, and that the shop UI will be, again their words, straightforward and easy to understand, and that if an item ties into the core fantasy of a race or class, then it won't be available from the shop, and if it's a thematically important decor that players know and love, again their words, those also won't be on the shop. And unless they are being very particular with their definitions, it sounds like it's for items that don't really tie into an in-game aesthetic that people actually care about, but again, where do you draw the line there? And also, who draws that line? Well, I can tell you who won't be drawing the line. You. Items on the shop will be available for individual purchase, and while sometimes sometimes bundles will be offered, you will be able to buy an individual item by itself. Blizzard also really wants you to know that the ratio between shop decor and decor obtained in-game will be small. Think of it in a similar vein to the ratio between other collectibles like mounts that are available on the in-game shop versus in-game itself. And that Hearthsteel, like we said before, is just for housing, and that, in their words, we currently have no plans to use it for the trading post, mounts, transmogs, or pets. Currently have no plans. Okay, so Blizzard, what are we doing here?
I am not amused.
Okay, here's my stance. If you have to have so many disclaimers and clarifications how the business policy that you want to implement won't be as bad or manipulative as the other people that do the same business policy, maybe, just maybe, don't do it to begin with. Putting the online store element of it aside for a moment, despite the game having a base price, expansions, and a monthly sub, we really shouldn't, but putting that aside for a moment, can someone from Blizzard please explain why store items don't just give you an endless amount of that one item, and instead you have to buy them for individual use? I know that's how it works for other decor items for some reason, but why do store items that you buy also have to operate like that? Hear me out. If your true goal is to make transactions more efficient, wouldn't it be way more efficient to just have one transaction for an item instead of potentially multiple down the line if the person wants even more of that item and has to buy more Hearthsteel to get them? This is why I can kind of understand the efficiency argument, but I'm still pessimistic on it, because if that is your true goal, there's a better way that you are choosing not to pursue. And if you want to claim it's because of some weird back-end issue, why not have a vendor in-game that sells you multiple copies of the store item for either things like copper or just nothing, so long as you have bought the ticket on the online store? There are ways to be more efficient than your solution, but they wouldn't make you more money, so why would you pursue them? This is my problem with these kinds of arguments and framings. They sound kind of fine on the surface by design, but any kind of analysis will start to peel the layers away until the logic they are trying to present this alongside starts to fall apart, and we arrive at the real reason that this is happening. It's going to make them money. Because at the end of it all, even if you offer virtual currency in decent denominations according to other items on the store, you know the psychological manipulative element at play here is that people are still more willing to spend a fake currency than if it's portrayed with a dollar amount instead. Actually, going off that, this isn't entirely unprecedented when I think about it, because it's not the only virtual currency available in World of Warcraft that can be obtained with real money. And no, I'm not talking about gold, even though with the WoW token it kind of is. I'm talking Trader's Tender for the trading post, because you bundle Trader's Tender into various store purchases like new expansions. The point is, though, Blizzard wouldn't do this as a company if they didn't think it would make them money.
I am not amused.
Now, while I don't like the in-game store, I also don't think it's going to ruin housing or that Hearthsteel is going to make housing terrible and unrewarding. We can dislike a system without believing that it by itself will crumble everything into dust. I have tested housing on the PTR. It's extremely impressive. And so long as they are true to their word, so giant asterisk when it comes to that, and they don't overdo it with store items, and it remains in a similar vein to the difference between in-game mounts and also store mounts, then I think for the long-term and even short-term health of the system, it will be fine. There will always be people that are ready and willing to throw money at anything and whatever. That's just kind of the reality of the industry nowadays. Companies understand this, they know this, and they're not just going to let that money sit on the proverbial table. They're going to give those people a chute to throw that money into so it lands into their pockets. I dislike this system foundationally, fundamentally, and I don't think there's anything redeeming about it, nor do I believe any element of this makes housing better as a system. Unless for some reason, like, housing wasn't ever going to be financially viable for them, and this is the only way they could actually get it through, which I highly doubt. But again, it's the same situation as with the giant dinosaur mount that had an auction house that was priced at like $90. It's just like, if Blizzard knows most people are going to be willing to spend money on this thing, of course they're going to do it. It's just easy money. And I don't really ever see any company not doing a virtual currency out of the goodness of their heart, because it clearly makes money, which is why a lot of companies do it. As I said before, I do not see the value in allowing something to exist, though, where the sole purpose of it is to obfuscate the actual value for the player, or to psychologically manipulate people into spending even more money. Or not even into spending more money, just psychologically manipulate someone at all. I don't see the value in that for a business policy, and I don't see the value in allowing it to exist. But this runs deeper than just World of Warcraft, and this runs deeper than just Hearthsteel. This is an industry-wide epidemic, where unless legislatures start to get involved, I don't ever really see it going away. It's a shame, but that's just kind of the reality. Not even kind of, that is just the reality.
I am not amused.
I am very much looking forward to housing. It looks like it's going to be super fun. And while I dislike virtual currencies, and while I'm going to dislike Hearthsteel, the reason these companies keep using them and keep implementing new virtual currencies is because they just work, and people keep spending money on them, so of course they're not just going to let money rest on the table. But here's where you come in. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, your opinions on Hearthsteel and housing overall. And how do you think the industry could ever move away from this epidemic of virtual currencies it has found itself in? I would love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and hear your perspectives. And while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps chill out and help support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. And guys, there's a new report that World of Warcraft might be coming to consoles, specifically Xbox. And actually, it might be the other way. Xbox might be coming to World of Warcraft. There are reports about what Xbox's next generation console is going to look like, and it's looking way more like a PC than a traditional console. And if you want to find out more, you should check out this video right here for more. Stay safe, everybody, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody, until we meet again!